Well, we got another episode here, and this is Dennis Henning, host of Living in My Mind, and I just want to thank you for watching and listening. We have a number down here. As always, you can contact us and let me know if there's anything we can do, anything we can help, or if you relate to anything, or if you think I'm full of shit, even tell me that. I want to talk about something that I think many of us have a fear to talk about is when we're involved with an addiction or some type of issue. We just want to always tell people we're okay. You know, we've recovered, we're through this, we're doing fine. And that's not the case all the time. The last couple of months, I talked about earlier about having situations with my mom and all these things going on. My sex addiction started to rear its ugly head. Now, I don't mean I acted out sexually, but reaching out to people, different websites, different apps, and just occupying my time and trying to prove to myself. And it's easy, it's fun, there's nothing wrong with it. But then I realized it took hours out of my day. You know, I communicate with people. It was fun, talk about what I like, what they like. Everybody's good. But then I always would just cancel. I would just say, look, something came up or what have you. But what I did is I caught myself doing what I've done in the past, whether it's out of loneliness, which is part of it, whether it's out of control issues, which is another part of it, whether it's out of I don't give a shit, that's another part of it, because I like my life. I like how I live. But I let something that wasn't good and healthy for me creep back in. And I sat back and I thought about, okay, what is it? I think many of us who deal with any addiction, especially sex addiction, we'll stick with that, or love addiction, it's that high thinking, oh my God, even though that person's a stranger, they're attracted to me. Well, when you meet them online and you meet them on different apps, they're not attracted to you, they're attracted to basically the money. Then you might meet them and it might change. But when you have to think about that, then I realized to myself, shit, I'm paying people to be in my life. How fucking pathetic am I? Am I that fucking ugly? Am I that fucking pathetic? Am I that a human being that can't get anybody? But then I realized it's a choice that I've made because I'm not paying you for sex because shit, haven't had it in a long time and didn't do it because I'm very aware that it could turn into another obsession. But the last couple of months, I realized that, fuck, so much, whether it was money, whether it was time, whether it was emotions, getting this anticipation. And a lot of times when you meet people, they're going to tell you what you need to hear. Not what you want to hear, what you need, because they want something as well. And it really just struck a chord. This was all dealing with the last couple of months with my mom, and it hit me really hard with her. And but then I thought, okay, I could handle it. And just finally last week, I realized I couldn't handle it. It was ridiculous because there's nobody on the other end that knew anything about me. Nobody cared about me. It was that high. It was that fun. It was the excitement. But then again, I got off the apps. I got asked to leave some apps, all these different things. And then you sit there and you're like, well, fuck, what do I got? Do I need someone to validate me on a day-to-day basis? It's fun to have validation, but if it's with the right person, not strangers. So many people out there seek validation from strangers. How many likes do you get on your Instagram? How many subscribers do you have on YouTube? And it's a great feeling, but how many people really know you? How many people really understand you? How many people are going to be there for you? When you're dealing with a sex addiction, it takes over because sex is a great thing. Human contact's a great thing. Whether it's masturbating 10 times a day, whether it's watching porn, whether you're putting yourself in jeopardy in a business doing it, whether you're sexualizing people, whether you're looking at people, whether you're going out of your way. There's so many things we do as men and women who deal with this. And then you take a look at it. Is there a love addiction? Meaning, am I always looking for someone to love me? No, I don't need somebody to love me. And you meet somebody like this, 99% chance they're not going to love you. They might care about you as a person, but when it comes to love aspect, there's no love involved there. They might love what you do for them. They might love what you get them. But what the fuck are you getting from it? What am I getting from it? And I realized I was getting nothing at all. But then I sat back and I realized it's okay. Now I fell backwards a little bit. What do I do to move forward? Take myself off of any apps. Take myself off of any websites. I don't go out of my way to lose. I have better time management during the day about what I need to do. At nighttime, I don't need to waste my time doing these things because any of us knows, look, if you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is check your phone and you get on. 3 hours later, you're still. We can occupy ourselves looking through TikTok, looking through Instagram, looking through Facebook, all these different things we occupy our time. And that's time we're never going to get back. I had enough years that I couldn't get the fucking years back. I just wanted to give you a little, information on it's okay when you slip. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Doesn't mean I did anything wrong. I am a sex addict. I am someone that is something that's part of my life no matter what. I'm never going to change it. It will always be there. It'll always be in the back of my head. When I've ever been with a person, I'm the most loyal person in the world because I give my heart and soul to that person, and that's fine. But the one thing I have to realize is, and again, when we're doing things with other people, we have to sit back and realize, how does it affect them? Many of us who are sex addicts don't look at that. I've always looked at that. I've always looked at how it affects the other person. And so I'm always honest. So I figure if I tell you this is all it is, no matter what, then we're fine. It's up to you. If you decide to get attached to me, that's your problem. That's not the way to do it. Because other people, one thing I've learned about those of us who are sex addicts and those people who get involved with sex addicts, if you love sex just as much, because again, this isn't about sex. This is about gratification. This is about numbing ourselves. This is about feeling something that takes us away from whatever we're going through, the depression, anxiety, loneliness, anger, codependency, self-hate, low self-esteem, whatever the hell you want to throw out that a lot of times the people that I would be with, and I don't mean meeting them on sites, that's a whole different world, because we had so much sex and because we took things to the limit, in their mind, it was they thought it was about love, because a lot of people equate sex with love. How many people say, I'm never going to have sex until I'm married? Well, there are a lot of people married. They don't love each other, but they're married. Think about that. So it's really is looking at, and the one thing I've been able to do is step back and look at how my negative actions that I choose to do affect somebody else from now on. Whether it's my work that in the last couple of months, some things have been missing. How did I affect the people? When other people came to me and said, hey, here's a mistake, how are we going to fix it? They were understanding about what I was going through, but the great thing is I'm helping them. I work with them. Here's what I had to do to right those wrongs. Being a sex addict is not healthy. When you're born, you're not stuck with a needle in your arm and a beer in your mouth. The first thing you get some breast milk, and it's nurturing. Sex is nurturing. To me, it's one of the greatest pleasures in the world. It's not just about the acts of intercourse or oral sex or any of that. There's sexual things you can do without even taking your clothes off. There's sensuous things you can do. You can feel things. But the one thing that happens to those of us who are sex addicts, we're numb mentally. We're numb emotionally. We lose that effect. We lose that ability to connect mentally. And that's one thing I realized. I was losing the ability to concern myself with anybody that was in my life. So I stepped back and I thought, okay, here's what I need to do. Jump back on the horse, do what I need to do. But here's the best thing too, and I always tell addicts, no matter what your drug of choice is, or if it's sex, gambling, whatever it is, you don't always have to tell the whole fucking world you have a problem. You don't need validation from other people. Again, saying, you know what, I relapsed, and people say, it's okay. No, it really isn't okay. It's going to happen, but it really isn't okay. Many times people relapse in sex addiction or other addictions because they know people are going to give them some slack. People are going to say, oh, you're just an addict. When I was in the depths of my addiction when I was younger and stuff, that's all I had. That was my identity. When I got better, I didn't have that identity. People didn't pay attention to me. I wasn't that person anymore. So how do I become that person? How do I get people to pay attention? Well, all the negatives in the world, like Jeffrey Dahmer, is only known for one thing. You'd like to be known for more than one thing, I would think. Something maybe positive. But we lose that when we think that that's our identity. We think it's cool. Or other people think it's cool that you have an addict. Or, that guy could drink all he wants. That girl can drink all she wants. She holds her liquor. He holds her. Really, that's fun? Years ago, I had to interview a young lady. And she said she had the greatest 21st birthday party of her life. She was raped on her 21st birthday party because somebody put something in her drugs. But when we interviewed her, she said it was one of the best nights of her life. And it was so sad and heartening that she actually thought that night was great. Maybe before was great, but this is one of the most traumatic things that ever happened to this young lady. So we all take a look and we look at things that go that way. We all look at things, but when you're dealing with an addiction and you know it's getting out of hand, step back. Don't stick with the same people. How many of you out there, just like me, have had someone in your life that you're like, well, there's nobody else right now. Might as well just have fun with them. Might as well just have sex with them, hang out with them. And the person thinks the same thing about you. It's called situational attraction. That's what I call it. Or circumstantial attraction, where the circumstances you've created, they've created, you get content, you like each other. But then again, if somebody else comes along, you walk away from that person. So how much connection do you really have with that person? Many people fill our lives, fill voids because we have that void in our heart, your head, your chest, who the fuck knows what it is. But when we do that to other people, we're taking away from them. We're dehumanizing them, if that's the correct term. We're making them less than because we're making ourselves less than. I'm always amazed when people say, you got to respect yourself. Go fuck yourself. You don't have to respect yourself. You really don't. But if you do, I think there's a better chance of things being more positive in your life. Even if you respect yourself, you're going to come across situations that you need people to understand. You know, you got integrity. I always love the word integrity. So many people want to prove it. If you tell me something about yourself, I'll say, okay, here's my opinion of you. I'm not going to change it because you're telling me something different. I don't see it that way. You're not a bad person. I'm not thinking negative, but I don't need to convince you of something. When it comes to work, when it comes to projects, when it comes to talent, yeah, we got to convince other people because they got to buy what we're selling, but we got to be able to back it up. When it comes to the sex addiction part, it's lonely as hell. It is, because then, especially if you watch a lot of porn, I got nothing against porn, but it does numb you. It does numb your mind. It numbs your body, because then you can't get excited unless it's something that you've seen that really isn't real. It's just not. You have all these TikTok shows, and you have all these Instagram, these girls that do porn talking about how great it is. That's wonderful for them. That's their life. That's their community. That's whatever they want to do. You have so many guys that are like, God, I'd love to be with a porn star. Why? I don't get why. It doesn't work that way in life. But the sex addiction aspect can really destroy you. It can really set you back. It could really affect other people. But the most important thing I learned from me in the last couple of months when I was going through this was that I could get out of it again. I didn't lose anything. Things I could have lost, but I didn't. I gained a better self-respect for myself, even though it's sad to be alone, even though you think about other people you had in the past in your life, you'd love to see how it went. But then again, if they're not there, there's a reason why someone's not there. We can't replace one person with another. Look, you can replace your dog. That's a given. Might not be the same dog. Pretty sure it's going to have 4 legs unless you get a rescue or something and you want to do those types of things. But you can't replace people we've lost in our lives by going out and have sex with everybody. You can't get mad because a relationship going to have sex with everybody. Men and women do it. There's no difference between men and women. Just like one-night stands. Men have them, women have them. And men get just as upset when they don't hear back from somebody, just as women do. Why would you feel guilty? Enjoy, explore, do whatever, but make sure you're not taken away from you as a person. Just don't. It doesn't work that way. Like this new girl, the Hak Tui girl. Funny? I guess. Entertaining? I guess. But you think about all the notoriety she's got by saying something has to do with sex, and okay. And if that's what you're going to be known for, hopefully she'll be known for more. But the reality is, what does it do for her? Gives her attention. What do you do with that attention? How do you make that attention work? And why I'm talking about someone like her, because it's a sexualized act that she did. And it turns people on to think about it. It makes people fun. It has people talking about it. People are interacting. She's made it okay for men and women to talk about it, which before maybe would have been appropriate. Could be sexual harassment. How many people at work are going to talk about something like that? But be aware of what's in front of you. Don't go in with blinders when you're doing these things, especially whether it's sex, loving somebody, issues. It's not easy. I'm just sharing this because the last couple of months have been a fucking nightmare. And I'm doing much better. Never saying that it might not happen again. But the good thing is I didn't involve other people in a physical way. I didn't do that. I just got all the behaviors and all the actions, but I was smart enough for myself to always cancel any of the encounters. Just didn't work for me. So I just wanted to share that with you today, that remember, there are people like us. There are people who do what we do. There are people who don't have answers. If you need some help, you have some input, how you can help people who deal with what I deal with, help me. Please, call the number, text the number. And I appreciate your time. This is Dennis Henning, living in my mind.